requests A Bad Case of Stripes by David Shannon. Interesting. It's 4 pages. Single spaced. Thank you, Tricksters. Quota for October is covered then. Alright then. Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. All of her friends hated lima beans, and she wanted to fit in. Camilla was always worried about what other people thought of her. Today she was fretting even more than usual. It was the first day of school, and she couldn't decide what to wear. Thank you, Princess. Good night. There were so many people to impress. She tried on 42 outfits, but none seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed. Her mother ran into the room, and she screamed too. Oh, my heavens, she cried. You're completely covered with stripes. Thank you, Kayla. I don't deserve it. You should take care of yourself, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And congrats on the orange badge. This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Miss Cream felt Camilla's forehead. Do you feel all right? She asked. I'm fine. But just look at me. Thank you, Kylene. Oh, how I long for a bum cheese. All right. Yeah, I wish we had more of that to do. You get back in bed this instant, her mother ordered. You're not going to school today. Camilla was relieved. She didn't want to miss first day of school, but she was afraid of what the other kids would say. She had no idea what to wear with these crazy stripes. That afternoon, Dr. Bumble came to examine Camilla. Most extraordinary, he exclaimed. I've never seen anything like it. Have you been any coughing, sneezing, runny nose, aches, pains, or uncontrollable twitching? No, Camilla told him. I feel fine. Well then, Dr. Bumble said, turning to Miss Cream. I don't see any reason why she shouldn't go to school tomorrow. Here's some ointment that should clear those stripes in a few days. If it doesn't, you know where to reach me. And off he went. Next day was a disaster. Everyone at school laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon and Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act as if everything were normal, but when the class said the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripes turned red, white, and blue and broke out in stars. The other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, Let's see some purple polka dots! Sure enough, Camilla turned all purple polka dotty. Someone else shouted, Checkerboard! And the pattern of squares covered her skin. Soon everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Camilla was changing faster than you could change channels on TV. That night, Miss Harms, the school principal, called. I'm sorry, Miss Cream, he said. I'm going to have to ask you to keep Camilla home from school. She's just too much of a distraction, and I've been getting calls from the other parents. They're afraid those stripes might be contagious. Camilla was so embarrassed. She couldn't believe that 2 days ago everyone liked her. Now nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. Is there anything you want I can get you, sweetheart? He asked. No, thank you, sighed Camilla. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans, but she had been laughed at enough for one day. Well, yes, I see, Dr. Bumble mumbled when Mr. Cream phoned the next day. I think I'd better bring in the specialist. We'll be right over. About an hour later, Dr. Bumble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. This is Dr. Grop, Dr. Sponge, Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young, I said in the wrong accent. Then the specialist went to work on Camilla. They squeezed and jabbed, tapped and tested. It was very uncomfortable. Well, it's not the mumps, concluded Dr. Grop. Or the measles, said Dr. Sponge. Definitely not chicken pox, put in Dr. Cricket. Or sunburn, said Dr. Young. Try these, said the specialist. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. Take one of each before bed, said Dr. Grop, whose accent I can't remember now. They filed out the front door, followed by Dr. Bumble. That night, Camilla took her medicine. It was awful. When she woke up the next morning, she did feel different, but when she got dressed, her clothes didn't fit her right. She looked in the mirror, and there, staring back at her, was a giant, multicolored pill with her face on it. Dr. Bumble rushed over as soon as Miss Cream called, but this time, instead of the specialists, he brought the experts. Oh, man. Dr. Gord and Mr. Mellon were the finest scientific minds in the land. Once again, Camilla was poked and prodded, looked at and listened to. The experts wrote down lots of numbers. They had huddled together and whispered. Dr. Gord finally spoke. It might be a virus, he announced with authority. Suddenly, fuzzy little virus balls appeared all over Camilla. Or possibly some form of bacteria, said Mr. Mellon. Out popped squiggly little bacterial tails. Or it could be a fungus, added Dr. Gord. Instantly, Camilla was covered with different colored fungus blotches. The experts looked at Camilla, then at each other. We need to go back over these numbers back at the lab. That's the lab, Dr. Gord explained. We'll call you when we know something. But the experts didn't have a clue, much less a cure. But now the TV news had found out about Camilla. Reporters from every channel were outside her house telling the story of the bizarre case of the incredible changing kid. Soon a huge crowd was camped out in the front lawn. The creams were swamped with all kinds of remedies from psychologists, allergists, herbalists, nutritionists, psychics, an old medicine man, a guru, and even a veterinarian. Each so-called cure only added to poor Camilla's strange appearance until it was hard to even recognize her. She sprouted roots and berries and crystals and feathers and a long furry tail, but nothing worked. One day, a woman who called herself an environmental therapist claimed she could cure Camilla. "Close your eyes," she said. "Breathe deeply and become one with your room." "I wish you hadn't said that," Camilla groaned. Slowly, she started to melt into the walls of her room. Her bed became her mouth, her nose was a dresser, and 2 paintings were her eyes. The therapist screamed and ran from the house. "What are we going to do?" cried Mrs. Cream. "It just keeps getting worse and worse." She began to cry, and at that moment, Mr. Cream had heard a quiet little knock at the front door. He opened it, and there stood an old woman who was just plump and sweet as a strawberry. "Excuse me," she said brightly, "but I think I can help." She went to Camilla's room and looked around. "My goodness," she said with a shake of her head. "What we have here is a bad case of stripes. One of the worst I've ever seen." She pulled a container of small green beans from her bag. "Here, this might do the trick." "Are those magic beans?" asked Miss Cream. "Oh, my, no," replied the kind old woman. "There's no such thing. They're just plain old lima beans." "I'll bet you'd like some, wouldn't you?" she asked Camilla. Camilla wanted a big, heaping plate full of lima beans, but more than just about anything, but she was still afraid to admit it. "Yuck. No one likes lima beans, especially me." "Oh, dear," the old woman said sadly. "I guess I was wrong about you." She put the beans back in her bed and started towards the door. Camilla watched the old woman walk away. Those beans would taste so good, and being laughed at for eating them was nothing compared to what she'd been through. She finally couldn't stand it. "Wait," she cried. "The truth is, I really love lima beans." "I thought so," the old woman said with a smile. She took a handful of beans and popped them into Camilla's mouth. Said Camilla. Suddenly the branches, feathers, and squiggly tails began to disappear. There stood Camilla, and everything was back to normal. "I'm cured," she shouted. "Yes," said the old woman. "I knew the real you was in there somewhere." She patted Camilla on the head. Then she went outside and vanished into the crowd. Afterward, Camilla wasn't quite the same. Some of the kids at school said she was weird. She didn't care a bit. She ate all the lima beans she wanted, and she never had even a touch of stripes again. So eat your lima beans. They're actually really good. Oh, all right then. Boy, that was a long one. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful couple days. I will be back on Thursday. Don't forget to check out the sign up stream is over, but don't forget to sign up for Extra Life. Get started with that. Thank you, Desta. Play this game again soon. I will try and finish it soon. Thank you, Shadow. We're getting pretty close to the end. Thank you, Shadow. Oh, my death punishments. I promise I'll catch up on them next stream. Right now I'm wearing all of this stuff and it's hot and I don't want to change out of it. I'm going to go bed. I'll start the stream on Thursday with punishments. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody.